Happy Monday, friends. How are you doing? I just wanted to talk about higher self because I've just, as normal in my mornings, I journal and I channel. So I always get a little bit of feedback and I thought, oh, let me just share this one. Some of you might find this interesting. So I'll just wait for Facebook to do its thing and I shall start chatting away. It's quiet out there today, isn't it? Oh, here we go. Here we are, gathering an audience. How are we doing? Granted, probably not the most ideal time to go live, but here I am. So I wanted to talk about higher self guidance as per my channeling this morning, because there's lots of things that I'm reading and I'm channeling that are really important for right now, and sharing them hopefully allows you to empower yourself to really utilize the knowledge that you've already got within you, rather than always seeking externally for validation about what you might be thinking and feeling. When you're seeking that, it's just that you're not fulfilling your own needs and perhaps reflecting back onto what you need and what you need to trust yourself for confirmation, for instance. So I wanted to talk about how I relate to the higher self, but also to help you as well. So more and more of you are becoming far more intuitive than ever. The global energy shifts, and it is a global thing, triggers you into an awakening, a spiritual awakening. And that for some people might look like just seeing the world for what it is, or that might also look like, if you're on, just say hi so I know that you're receiving me, because I can see people but I can't see any comments. So that might look like you understand that the system that we currently live in is not conducive for human development and growth. And by that I mean a system that regulates you, that doesn't allow self-regulation, creates more uneasiness, if that makes sense. So I just wanted to go into a bit of detail about how you can get hi, there you are. Hi guys. How you can get some feedback for yourself. So let me just give you a really short explanation. Your higher self is the part of you that's in between your human and your soul. And it lives in between. It's the highest expression of yourself, grounded in this reality. So I often have conversations with my soul because I am adept at communicating, interpreting, understanding its direction, to where it wants me to take the next steps. So I've been doing this for a very long time, and I understand how to build that connection. Now, the soul's interpretation is very, very big. It's a real, it's like the highest, most expansive version, and the higher self grounds that a little bit into the human self. And so it becomes more relatable, because often when we understand what our soul's plan is, we're like, this is too big. Like, can I actually do this? And then you go into kind of, am I equipped? Do I know enough? Self-sabotage. I'm an imposter. I'm not really, that person my soul thinks I am. But there are no mistakes, right? Your soul has chosen your incarnation in the way that you are, because it knows that you can have certain experiences, give the feedback, learn, expand, do all of that kind of stuff, right? So if the higher self is a bridge between your soul and yourself, it's offering you a higher version of yourself, invisible to your current perception, right? And if you're getting the feedback, if you're channeling it, if you're connecting to it, you will understand how it guides you. And I'll just share that because it's going to be a real brief video, but I just wanted to share a little bit about that. So my thing is always like, when you have a spiritual awakening or you have an interest in spirituality, You're like, oh, I'm going to connect to my angels. I'm going to connect to the ascended masters. I'm a starseed. I'm going to connect to my people. And actually, whilst that's helpful, that's one level of disassociation right there, because why don't you just connect to your higher power? Because that's giving you the direct guidance for your soul's plan and your mission, and therefore what is actually really aligned and appropriate for you. And whilst an angel and a guide or an ascended master can give you that, the clearest voice that will give you really succinct information about your next steps should come from your higher self, because it's like, as I said, a higher version of yourself, invisible to your current perceptions, and it's continually trying to give you feedback. And it's trying to give you feedback through your emotions, like the soul guides you through your emotions, but it's filtered through the higher self, right? So what I mean by that is you might be dissatisfied, you might not feel fulfilled by something, you might be constantly let down, you feel something feels uneasy. That is your higher self. That's the expression filtered through your higher self to tell you you're not in the right place, okay? Your job is to pay attention to that. But if you've gone through trauma and if you've gone through a life experience that's not conducive to you listening to the signs, you will just continue to ignore it because you don't feel safe in the new, but you do feel safe in pain. So some of you will understand this. And actually what it's trying to do is just say, cross that barrier and just take a different step. And I'm showing you via the emotion or a synchronicity, all those angel numbers you keep seeing, you know, 111, 444, all of that kind of stuff. All of that is giving you the guidance that you are in the right place. Aren't they all aspects of an infinite being, an ascended master, therefore aspects of ourself and our higher self? Yeah, it is, 100%, Maria, 100%. But what I'm saying is that in my experience, when I'm teaching people to connect to their soul, their higher self, they put more weight on the ascended master, being that they need to look outside of who they are, and that therefore that is a separate entity. Okay, it's not, you're 100% right. We are all of one. But the world, and I will just say about New Age in particular, it really pushes that is a separate entity to you. Your angels are over there, they're wiser than you, when your higher self can give you the same expression, and all of that kind of stuff. We are all of one, right? And yes, Maria, thank you for bringing that out. It's a really good statement and question, because they are all aspects of that. However, the current narrative in New Age and a lot of newer modalities doesn't bring you back to that oneness, but tells you that you need to connect to an angel. I often say to people, you are probably that which you are trying to reach, right? So if you're seeking an ascended master or an angel for advice, you've probably forgotten you're one of them. You've just forgotten who you are. That's it. You don't have any less information or coding in your DNA than any one of them that can give you the same information. Right? So your job with every shift in consciousness is to try and access more of your own coding internally and from the living library around you. The feedback of plants and nature and Mother Earth and all of that kind of thing. Every single thing has a place, you know, and your belief in that is whether it's magnifies as grounded in a 3D realm or not, right? I'm going to share this in Soul School because there's a whole different piece to this, because it's a real deeper piece that might not make sense to everybody and actually leads into a whole other thing, but I digress. So higher self is more purpose-based. The higher self is the expression of the highest aspect, but also is very attached to your purpose. It wants you to succeed in your purpose. So everything it's trying to give you by way of signaling is around your purpose. And you choose the experience you have from what you interpret and what you believe in that. So if you're not believing in the expression of yourself, i.e. the highest self, but then you will believe an angel and you are believing something else, you know, you've got to understand you are that and bring it back to you. So your ability to translate the messages your higher self is giving you is only going to reflect how deep a connection you have with yourself, right? And that goes for anything. your ability to energy read, your ability to connect to those angels or ascended masters, stars, whatever it is, the deeper the understanding you have within yourself, the bigger the ability for you to interpret the messages from wherever they come from, particularly from your higher self, because they're so meant for you, okay? But I will say, from all of my all of the masterclasses, training, lessons I've given, I find people favor angels and ascended masters over listening to their higher self, right? There's something glitzy about them that they'll be like, no, I'll listen to them. And they prefer the vagueness of that message because it keeps them safe, because their interpretation isn't perhaps very developed, and don't really want to connect to the truth about who they are. So it's like one step removed. That's why I'm always like, just get to know, listen to your own feedback, your body's feedback, your energetic feedback, your non-verbal language, your verbal language, how you react to things. It's telling you everything you need to know. So understanding a deeper connection to yourself. And I would just say, and I've said this before, I don't believe in over-investing in any one modality. I did it. And actually, when I realized how much it narrowed my field, it made me step back. So I don't overinvest my attention in astrology or mythology or numerology or family constellations or human design or gene codes, or I must contact star seeds. I do all of them. You are aspects of all of them. And I find that when anyone is super focused into one aspect of that, you're minimizing who you are, right? Yes, it can tell you lots of things about you, can help you to get to know yourself. But if you just stop and observe yourself, you'll probably learn far more. And if you've got someone amazing in your life who will point these things out for you and reflect them back to you, even better. My group Soul School does that for each other. When we're speaking out loud, we always offer that reflection back, because we're all going through it at some stage. So your aspects of all of the mythology and astrology and all these other modalities, it's not one. So if you're confined by one, I would invite you to perhaps look beyond, because our civilizations on this earth alone, we've been through 4, or is it 5? I can't remember how many. I think I channeled 4 major civilizations, and every civilization has come with mythology, astrology, magic, so much goodness, and it's not. The civilizations have burnt out or been destroyed, whichever way you like to look at it, because they weren't creating the harmony on the earth that needs to happen right now. And the way that you can do that is to connect with the higher self, okay? So the higher self is specific to you. It makes your soul's plan more attainable, and you can access it in many ways. And Caroline, yeah, we need to explore and understand that there is so much more. Yeah, and actually, the majority of everything you need to know lives inside yourself. So you might go to a sound bath and have an incredible awakening moment, because it's active. Sound activates DNA beautifully. So if you're not consciously doing the work and you want something gentler, sound activation, phenomenal. Play an instrument, even better. High vibe music does that as well. I noticed that when I was dog sitting, the dog was particularly temperamental, and every time I played binaural beats at a certain frequency, it affected him incredibly. It really has an amazing resonance, not only on animals and us, but the environment around us, and that includes the plants and crops and nature and everything else. So you can awake in many different ways. To go back to the higher self, one of the best ways to do it is to, one, observe your verbal and non-verbal language. 2, observe your emotions as to why you keep repeating the patterns when you continually feel let down, dissatisfied, hurt, experience pain, rejection, all of that kind of stuff, is to stop, because that's a hard pass from your higher self and soul saying, no, he doesn't work. Like, how much do you need to take before you'll change? How much more do you need to take? And it's a question I often ask my clients, like, how much longer is this going to go on? How much longer are you going to let it go on? Have you had enough yet? And they'll be like, yeah, I've had enough. And then they'll still do it, because they haven't hit their rock bottom, their breakthrough moment, they haven't actually had enough, because that actually creates more safety than it does negativity. They've got so used to the negative aspects and the toxic aspects of that in their life that they think that's normal. It's very normal for people that have been in trauma. I've been through this myself for many, many years. So listening to what creates dis-ease, makes you feel uneasy, that doesn't sit well, and I really pay attention to it. I was out on Saturday night, didn't like the vibe, I left. If something doesn't gel with me easy, I'm out of here. I'm listening to it every single time, and the more you listen to it, the more of a better bond you have with your higher self. Right? Because once you give it attention and airtime, as I like to call it, is, you know, turn the volume up on it. It's like, oh, okay, he or she is listening. I'm now going to send it some more stuff, right? I'm going to give it more guidance, more direction. Let's see how they respond to this. So I'm always like, if you're feeling lost and you're stuck, you just need to stop and listen. And pay attention to your actions, behaviors, thoughts, because they're all resonating. It's a resonance into the universe that bounces back every time and gives you more of that. So, Ali, you said anything I can do to let go. 100%. There's loads of things you can do to let go. Understand what the thing is you need to let go of. Understand why you're keeping it there. Why is it so important to you? Why is it still serving you? And it is. Otherwise, you'd let go of it. And serving looks like it keeps me safe. It means I don't have to be in my full self. It means that I feel protected. It could be any one of those things. And when you decide how it serves you, you then have to decide is can that serve you by letting go and still be in positive behaviors and thoughts and actions, and that means reframing, creating new belief systems. And it might also mean just going back and doing some inner child work at the point that you became stuck at that place. That's a really good question. People are like, how do I let go? What does let go look like? How does this work? And it is 100% understanding when that pattern had formed, why you continue to be in that pattern, place, person, thing, and how much of your identity is pinned on that. Because if you believe you can't survive without it, you will stay there. But if you actually address it, accept it, meet it, journal on it, do a little bit of work on where you think it came from. And one of my easiest ways of doing that is, who does that represent, your mum or your dad? Is it their story or your story? Did you obligate to take it, or are you ready to let it go? So there's a whole process around that as well. And you can work through it by letting go there. Energy is moving really, really fast at the moment. And what I mean by that is time is moving fast. Manifestations happen quickly, healings happen spontaneously if they're met at the right point, and you might need someone who's who can facilitate you through that. It's something we were talking about. I had a brunch with my girlfriends yesterday, and we're all energy, and we were always. And one of the girls said, "I get this far," and both. My friend who's an energy worker, myself, said you need facilitation to go further. Your perceptions will only take you as far, and if you're not tapped into a higher self that can guide you to take the next step, or listening within, or however you want to call it, then you're not going to take that next step. So once you start broadening your connection, not only with yourself but the world around you, you'll get feedback from a lot of things. So when I'm asking for something that needs healing, I'm getting it from everywhere. And I can hone it into one specific point, which is normally source energy, creative, all that is, God, whatever you want to call it. And then below that aspect, you also have ascended masters. And some of my ascended masters are in my council of 12, which means they ground it in my reality. But the best grounding of reality comes from your higher self. That's so unique to you. It's going to give you everything you need specifically to that. So, not serving me at all. Think it's hope about my attachment, how I feel about me. Yeah, if they will be serving you. Everything serves you. It's a reason. That's the reason we hold on to things. They will be keeping you safe, protected, or protecting you from being truly who you are, because they believe that the belief might be that if you step into your true self and really become that you will lose parts of your world, like loved ones. People might see you different, and do you know what? It's the best shedding. It's the best shedding I could possibly think about, because when you lose people there and you gain new alignment, you gain new people too. I've lost people in my life, friend-wise, 3 or 4 times, but every single time a better quality of person walks in, a better person who's more aligned to me walks in again and again and again. So you cannot, it's like when you want a quantum jump, you've got a bungee rope around you that's stopping you moving forward because you're not letting go. And the moment someone cuts that bungee rope, you fly forward. That's the easiest analogy I could give you of quantum jumping. So you leap forward into a new reality. And that's exactly what happens when you let go of energetics that weigh you down. So in my group Soul School, which I will link above there, it's for men and women, I'm going to do a deeper dive into higher self-guidance, how to attain it, including journal prompts, and how you would work with your higher self. So if you're interested, come join me. It's only £9.99 and you can jump in and jump out at any point you want to. You're not committed to stay, but it's full of lots of lessons around spirituality, well-being, channeling, understanding your soul, boundaries, limiting beliefs, everything you think of. I've basically covered 3 years worth of lessons that are in there. So you know what to do. Click the link, come join me. But in the meantime, I hope this has been helpful. And if you're watching on replay, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until the next time, I decide to randomly jump on, but I'll see you then. Lots of love.